Hey guys, Firum here, and for my very first video of 2021, I thought it was only fitting to test some cars in the New Year's season in Asphalt 9. We have got the DBS, which I have at 4-star, a maxed F12tdf, and a 5-star Pagani Huayra BC. Fun fact, I believe this will be the first video that I am actually testing my own Huayra BC in. Before, I didn't have the car, or not at very high stars at least, so I had other people test it. I'm waiting to make a full video on it until I get it to 6 stars, which hopefully I'll be able to do in the not so far future. Please consider subscribing if you haven't already and would like to see that, as well as all of my other multiplayer videos. And I also released some new merch recently as well. I'll put a link to that down in the description. So let's get to the video. These first couple of races are going to be with the Aston Martin DBS. Now this car I believe I tested before at 3 stars. Don't think I did it at 4 stars, but this is how it is at 4 stars. It's a very sort of underrated B-class car. You don't really see a lot of them in multiplayer because I think it's somewhat of a rarer car, but people don't really realize its potential either, I think. I mean, it goes faster than the Huracan by several miles per hour. It handles very good, all of its stats are pretty decent, and overall I had a lot of fun driving it. It is probably one of the best B-class cars for multiplayer, because remember, this is only at 4 stars. At 5 stars, it's going to be even better. I think the maxed F12tdf might be ever so slightly better than the 4-star DBS, but in this race, we were able to get ahead because of the F12tdf's biggest weakness, which is, in my opinion, its drifting, which is not very good, the radius isn't very good, and it slows down a lot around turns. That's how I was able to pull ahead of him around that 360-degree turn. The F12tdf just does not have as good of a drifting speed as this car does. So recently I made a post in my community tab about how I'm working on a spreadsheet about the Bugatti Drive Syndicate event, very similar to what I did with the Yesco event, except this case it's even more involved because there's even more chapters and sections and more things to take into account, as well as having 3 hazard levels and various levels of stars for the different cars to keep track of. I figured out a way to organize it pretty nicely, and just earlier today I finally came up with an early estimate of just how much money you would have to spend on Syndicate coins in order to get the Bugatti, just to unlock it, not to max it. I'm not going to give you the number now because there's probably some tweaking I still need to do, but I will say that it is definitely worse than the Yesco event in terms of the cost. The thing about it, and this is one of the big issues, is that in this event you can only spend a certain amount of tokens on the Syndicate coins, which I've talked about before. That's not new information. But that means that any extra Syndicate coins you need in the event beyond 250,000, you have to buy with real money, and it costs, I think, $100 for 120,000 Syndicate coins, which is just completely absurd in my opinion. You also have some bundles like for the Citroën GT, which are definitely better than buying Syndicate coins and then buying packs for that car. It's better to buy the bundles, and I will try to take that into account as well. I'm also going to try to run through various scenarios with the event, like if you had all the previously released cars maxed or if you had them at stock, and I've set it up such that you can technically figure out exactly how much it would cost no matter what star count you had any of the cars at. It's pretty cool, I think. It's a bit more involved to figure out exactly the amounts that you'd have to spend at different parts of the event, because while I do know how much you'd get at each part in the event and how much you'd have to spend, you would have to go through literally every single section of the event, like each section of each chapter, to figure that out for sure. And I'm probably going to do that with a few different scenarios, again, like say you had all of the previously released cars maxed versus at stock, but not for a whole lot of them, although it's definitely possible to estimate some more a lot easier. So keep an eye out for that video soon. I don't know exactly when I'm going to post it, but probably within the next week. I've been double checking with various videos and various people who I do plan to name in the video, as their information has been very valuable to creating it. And I just want to give myself enough time to get the most accurate information as possible. Some people have wondered why I haven't made this before. Well, the reason is that we already know that this event is insanely expensive, and getting the exact figures, which are definitely in the hundreds, possibly even in the thousands of dollars, especially if you want to try to max the Bugatti, that'll be an interesting one to calculate. Those exact figures probably won't do much to help people during the event, because most people have probably either decided, okay, I'm not spending any money on it, I'm just going to stop whenever I run out of the relay packs, or perhaps you didn't even buy all the relay packs. And then there's other people that have decided, okay, I'm just going to go as far as I can, and there's probably not a lot of people that are just like, okay, I want to spend exactly $300 on this event. So yeah, I just think it's better to make it as sort of a recap of the event and sort of a blueprint as what not to do in the future. I've hit my paywall, I've unlocked the 911, but I can't go any further than that. I've bought all the relay packs. A lot of people I think have gotten to about this point, and I don't even know if it's possible at all to unlock the Citroen GT even without spending real money. I tend to not think so, but again, that's something I'll figure out looking through my spreadsheet some more. So coming up to the end of our second race with the F12tdf, we barely managed to get ahead and stay ahead of this Huayra around the final turn. I was thinking, okay, well, both of our nitros last a long time, so most likely we're not going to be able to knock each other down around the final turn. That's why I felt okay with staying over near the left so that he wouldn't be able to pass me and not having to worry about knocking him down, and it turned out pretty well. Now we're moving on to our Huayra races, and I guess it's only fair that I talk a little bit more about this car because I haven't tested my own on this channel before. I really like it. It definitely improved a good bit going up in the stars. It went from being sort of a mediocre car for me to one of my best and most reliable A-class cars, even at only 5 stars. I can only imagine how good it is at 6 stars. Well, I don't even have to imagine it. I know there's lots of people that already have it there, and it's a really amazing car. It probably will continue to be one of the most popular A-class cars for multiplayer for a long time, especially if the newer ones, although they may be better in multiple areas, and possibly even do better just overall in multiplayer than this car, are going to be a lot more expensive to get to higher stars. And I just think that this one, with a lot of people having it at 5 or 6 stars, is just going to keep being the one that we see most of the time in multiplayer. This race here was actually the very first race I played with this car in this season, and I was facing 2 maxed, or at least 6-star Pagani Huayras, and I managed to beat them both. I don't think there's a huge difference, I guess, between the 5-star and 6-star. Like, they're going to be pretty close, and if you have a 5-star Huayra, you're going to be able to do extremely well in this season, most likely. I'm also planning to make a video about the GT12 pretty soon, given that it was just recently in a car hunt, and so a lot of people probably want to know how it performs. I do have videos up on my channel about it at, I think, 3 stars, and perhaps max from somebody else, but I did manage to 4-star it in the car hunt, not max it because, well, it had terrible drop rates, let me tell you, and I know that most of you who have played it probably experienced that as well, but that's probably coming, as well as some videos about Asphalt 8 most likely. I definitely want to make a couple, perhaps try to get the Devo, and I just barely didn't get knocked down right there, but try to get the Devo, probably also test out the Gauntlet mode, a couple of those coming. Now, probably the number of videos that I output will drop in a week or two because that's around the time I start the spring semester of college. I did get about a month off for Christmas break, so that is why in the past few weeks I've been uploading much more often, like every day or every other day a lot of the time, even just because, well, I've had the time to do it. But even when school starts back, I still plan to upload at least 2 times a week. That's kind of my minimum. I don't really want to go below that. And speaking of college and making YouTube videos, Eris posted a community post about a couple of weeks ago, I think it was, saying that the reason why he hasn't been posting is because he's been in his first semester of college or university, and he hasn't had time to make videos because of that, but that he could still definitely post some in the future, just not entirely sure when. So there you go for everybody who's been asking me, where's Eris? I guess it's now time for my general review of the season, this car. I'm not exactly sure what I'm supposed to do in these, but I guess I'll give a little bit of both. The season's been pretty fun. These cars, while I don't exactly know what they have in common to each other, have all been pretty fun to drive. And I guess this car, the Huayra, which is the one that I guess is the flagship car of the season, has been a very fun one to drive as well. All of its stats are very good, as you guys know. I really don't think this car needs much of a review other than just, yeah, it's amazing just like everybody says it is. Weirdly though, it's been a little bit unstable for me this season, and I'm not entirely sure why, but it hasn't happened a lot, and so that's not really detracting from the experience any for me. Coming up toward the end of this race, we're facing a maxed out Huayra BC, which is definitely one of the most popular cars up in the higher leagues of this season, but we do manage to take the victory. Thank you all so much for watching. Please like the video if you have enjoyed, and consider subscribing for more Asphalt and other games content, and I will see you in my next video. Goodbye!